Now, I'm going to tell you a 4-hour Wednesday series in 20 minutes. Enjoy watching. The girl returns to the Nevermore Academy, where outcasts with various skills study. Having received an introduction about the death of her best friend due to her fault, Wednesday tries in every way to stop what was destined. The action of the second season begins with a piquant moment, tied up Wednesday in the lair of a serial killer. Despite the gag in her mouth, the girl explains the exposition behind the voiceover. During the summer holidays, she honed her psychic skills with the help of Goody's book. To test them in practice, Wednesday decided to figure out the serial killer, for which she stole a thing from the things of one of the victims, finding a bowling ball at the crime scene. Using her talents as a ruler, Wednesday figures out the maniac and goes there by plane, passing through airport security along the way. Security deprives the poor girl of self-defense. Arriving at the maniac's house, Wednesday tries to shock him with a stun gun, but touching him causes another vision to roll over her, causing black tears. The girl comes to a basement full of large dolls. The maniac appears next, admitting that he sees dead people. And soon the guest will become one of them, but Wednesday has a helping hand. "You know I can work with my hands too." The thing attacks the killer and beats him up. Having handed the maniac over to the police and returned home, Wednesday prepares for the new school year at Nevermore Academy. On the way there, the girl's younger brother Paisley, who is also entering the school, practices throwing lightning bolts with precision. He has such a gift. Wednesday makes his brother knock down a stop sign, causing an accident at the intersection. This is their simple family humor at this time. Not far from the city, a private detective watches a couple making out when he is attacked by a flock of crows, led by a bird with a wounded face. The detective manages to tell someone on the phone where he hid the evidence when the birds make a giant bird feeder out of him. In the van, the Addams family arrives at the Nevermore Academy. Forced to look after her brother, Wednesday gives him a short crash course in subordination, after which she learns that she has become a local celebrity. After saving the school last year, after meeting the new director, Barry Dort, she goes to her room where her werewolf neighbor, Enid, has caused a pogrom with her pack, having driven away the shapeshifter. And Stay exchanges summer news with Enid, presenting a gift, a doll from the collection of the captured maniac. The girl also finds a trap with a crossbow and a message from a mysterious stranger who is following her. "Hey, are you being followed? Don't be jealous," touching the photograph. And Stay sees a vision of her being followed, but the stranger cleverly avoids her eyes. Gomez takes her son to his room. Pugsley's roommate is Eugene. Wednesday's classmate Morticia receives an offer from the director of Nevermore to head the fundraising committee, which will allow her to see her daughter more often. Although she is not very happy with this prospect. To give the elder Addams his time to think, the director places them in a house vacated after last year's events. Who selected the furnishings? A serial killer. Morticia says that she can become a spiritual mentor for her to develop her talents, but he, in response, remembers Anophilia, her mother's sister with whom she broke off ties, later walking in upset feelings. And Stay stumbles upon the scene of the crime. A private detective was pecked to death by crows. Noticing a suspicious witness, the girl rushes in pursuit. It turns out to be former Sheriff Galpin, whose son she helped put in a mental hospital. He warns Wednesday that the birds are watching them. In the evening, the newcomers are told a story about the Sculptree, a place in the forest where the body of one of Nevermore's best students, the inventor of a mechanical heart which still beats in his dead body, is supposedly buried. And only the bravest dare to go at night and listen to the heartbeat. Inspired, Huxley decides to find this place at night and dig up the body. At this time, Principal Dort blackmails the siren, Bianca, into joining the fundraising committee for the academy. Ineth and her friends accept the thing into their flock. Morticia remembers her sister, and Wednesday plays the viola in the assembly hall, where he meets Isadora Capri, the new music teacher. Someone unknown cuts out the ice from Wednesday's photo. The next day, the academy prepares for the burnt offering ceremony, a traditional event to mark the beginning of the school year. In an attempt to convince Morticia to accept the committee, Principal Dort assigns Bianca to her in the room. Stay learns that an unknown person has stolen the only copy of her manuscript, which she has been working on for 2 years, and hidden it at the base of the ceremony's bonfire. Together within it, the girl goes there, The ceremony has already begun, with a mystery singing the Nevermore anthem. Wednesday climbs into a pile of branches stacked for the traditional bonfire to find the hidden manuscript. After the anthem, the principal gives a speech that ends with the bonfire being lit. Crawling among the flaming branches, Wednesday barely manages to retrieve her novel and get without turning into a gothic shish kebab after this. The principal honors her as the savior of the school, but the girl takes her popularity with hostility and sets fire to the painting painted in honor of last year's events. At this time, Huxley goes into the forest where, according to the map, the tree skull is located. Having found it, he trips and falls, mechanically activating his ability to emit lightning. A powerful electric discharge starts the artificial heart of the deceased inventor, and his corpse emerges from the ground. To the delight of the boy, Enid catches up with her neighbor who left the ceremony, but as soon as she touches her, Wednesday again plunges into the trance elements of epilepsy. She sees Enid's grave and her ghost, who accuses the girl of being guilty of her death. Wednesday comes to her senses in her mother's house. Morticia explains that black tears are a side effect of extrasensory exhaustion caused by abuse of the gift. She wants to help her daughter learn to control it, but she refuses, remembering the bird of extermination and the words of the former sheriff that the birds are watching them. The girl goes to Galpin's house. However, he is already dead. A flock of birds pecked out his eyes and entrails, making a den inside the corpse. When Wednesday scared them, the crows fly away in different directions. To understand what happened, the girl touches the dead man, but for some reason the visions do not appear. But the police appear, who arrest her at the crime scene. However, Gomez, a certified lawyer, takes his daughter from the station. On the way home, Wednesday asks what happened to Antophilia, but her father says that it is better to ask her mother about this. In the morning, Hacks, under the pressure of circumstances, confesses to his neighbor Eugene that he is hiding a revived zombie in his beach shed, which he called a squelch. Realizing that he is hungry, they feed him honey, but the dead man is sick of such food. Then the students bring him a sandwich from the school cafeteria. The crap there is capable of either making or feeding a dead person. This crap will definitely not finish him off. Back on campus, Wednesday finds Enid lying on the balcony with his throat cut. But it turns out to be a banal prank. In honor of the traditional prank day, it's like April Fool's Day, only for fools who don't know about April Fool's Day. Enid made this joke in response to the eye on the pillow. Although Wednesday did not put it there, she realizes that these are the remains of the deceased Galpin. In addition, someone sends a message from the phone of the murdered ex-sheriff that he is watching them. No corpses this semester. The Academy celebrates Prank Day. Everyone plays pranks on everyone. The director walks around the courtyard with Dr. Orloff, a distant relative of Professor Dawell. Wednesday asks if they have anyone at Avian Academy who can control birds. The answer is negative, such outcasts are a minority. Then Wednesday decides to talk to Tyler Galpin, the son of the murdered sheriff, who is being held in a mental hospital because of his ability to transform into Hyde. She steals a coupon for one training trip, and having cut the cables of the duplicate pedals so that the instructor does not interfere, rolls into the mental hospital. According to the instructor, this is the place for her. In the institution, the visitor meets Dr. Furburn, a psychiatrist specializing in outcasts. She allows a meeting with Tyler, hoping that this will help in the treatment. However, the guy chained in an isolation cell not only refuses to help the guest in her investigation, but also shows signs of aggression and threatens to kill Annette, who defeated him in battle last time. Her screams will haunt you in nightmares for the rest of your life. Returning to the room, Wednesday finds things locked in a suitcase and a clue from a mysterious stranger that Annette and her new boyfriend have been kidnapped. The girl has half an hour to guess where she is and save her from a deadly trap. Meeting Miss Capri gives Wednesday the idea that the clue contains notes for an organ. By pressing the right keys, she opens a secret passage to the tower. Inside, she sees some kind of ghost who leaves another clue in his mask. Her only friend is tied with chains under a platform, studded with knives. When it begins to descend, Wednesday has a couple of minutes to find the answer to the clue, which is not visible among the books collected there. She understands that it is about the Invisible Man of Herbert Wells. As soon as she typed the answer, the execution stopped. A mysterious stranger immediately appears, a local schoolgirl fan of Wednesday named Agnes D. Mill, who has the gift of invisibility. Happy Prank Day, Wednesday. Wednesday is upset that her mysterious stalker turned out to be a banal fan who pulled off an ingenious prank, just as she likes it. However, Agnes denies her involvement in the death of Sheriff Galpin, although she stole his phone. Realizing that she needs to dig further, Wednesday returns to the room to comb through Goody's book to find out how to return the failed gift of foresight. But it turns out that Morticia took the tome during the day. At this time, Principal Dork blackmails Bianca into using her siren gift to force Morticia to call her mother and convince her to donate money to the academy. The siren charm does not work on the principal himself because of a protective amulet. Obeying Bianca hypnotizes Morticia. Unaware that not far from the academy, an escaped zombie Squelch attacks a driving instructor. While Cheetah Addams celebrates the birthday of the Thing, inviting an elite manicurist at triple the rate, and Stay secretly sneaks into her parents' bedroom to return Goody's book. However, her mother figured out her plan, catching her looking for the tome and left her with nothing, believing that without a mentor, her daughter would abuse her gift like her crazy and Afely. As a result, she allowed the gift to drive her crazy. Deprived of guidance, and Stay is forced to conduct an investigation as an ordinary normie. She goes to Galpin's funeral, where besides her only two people came to say goodbye: the acting sheriff and Dr. Fairburn from the psychiatrist. The girl learns that her father once visited Tyler at the clinic, which caused the latter to burst into rage. She also shares her suspicions that an avian is behind the murder, but the doctor assures that there are no outcasts. With the gift of controlling birds among Willow Hill's patients, taking the deceased's belongings, Wednesday returns to Nevermore to study them calmly. She resorts to the help of Agnes and her metamorph to unlock Galpin's phone. Having learned that the detective hid some evidence in a forest cabin, Wednesday decides to search it. To get closer to her, she agrees to go with all the students to camp for the weekend. Paxley and Eugene discovered that Slurp himself returned to the bar and that his brain regeneration had begun. In order not to leave the zombie unattended, Paxley drags him with him to camp, hiding him in a coffin. It turns out that the older Addams have also arrived. According to the rules of the academy, one of the parents must accompany them. Wednesday, who is upset with her mother for taking away the book, does not like this, but she is ready to put up with her daughter's teenage rebellion. It is better to tolerate poisonous hatred, but save our daughter. PX places the Squelch in a tent, and fireworks traps are set around in case the zombie decides to escape. The rest in the camp is overshadowed by the appearance of the Boy Scouts. They, like the outcasts, have permission to use it for their own needs. Director Dort wants to wrap up the event, but Wednesday, pursuing his own goals, offers the Scouts an honest competition, honor, praise, and camp for the winners, shame, and a trip home for the losers. The Scouts agree. The essence of the competition is as follows. The normies and outcasts split up to teams of 5 people. One defends the talisman, the other tries to capture the enemies. The team that gets the talisman to the watchtower first wins. The normies, having studied the habits of their opponents, knock the hat off the Gorgon Ajax, which temporarily turns his teammates into stone. The Scouts neutralize Ajax himself with a bag on his head, then take the talisman and, having reported this with a signal flare, run to the tower nest as Assault Squad has problems. The normies have prepared themselves by putting on headphones, which makes Bianca's siren gift useless. Then they unleash the werewolves Ed and Bruno into battle, but the Scouts neutralize them with tear gas. As a last trump card, Wednesday orders Eugene to set bees on the enemy. Their stings incapacitate the Scouts, allowing the girl to calmly take the talisman. However, even so, the outcasts lag behind. The Scout has already reached the camp. In the tower, Wednesday uses her bow to stretch a rope between a cliff and the top of a watchtower, where she must bring the talisman. Sliding down the rope, she knocks her opponent down at the last moment and pulls out her talisman, signifying victory to the delight of all the outcasts and the stern displeasure of the Scoutmaster. In the evening, while the Nevermore students celebrate an honorable victory at camp, Wednesday goes to the sheriff's hut. There she finds newspaper clippings with obituaries of the outcast teenagers. Almost all of them were patients of the Willow Hill Psychiatric Hospital. The name Nikai Lois is also written on the wall. Wednesday tries to understand what this means with the help of extrasensory perception. The visions do not return. Returning to camp, she challenges her mother to a blind duel in order to get the book back. In a fair fight at the same time, the Scouts, led by a Scoutmaster who does not want to admit an honest defeat, plan a retaliatory attack in the night. But the first tent the commander enters belongs to Puxley. A zombie is waiting inside, who eats the Scout leader's bridge and escapes, raising the alarm with fireworks. Wandering around the camp, the zombies stumble upon Gomez in the shower, but Puxley, who appears in time, saves his father with a lightning strike. Then the undead wanders on and comes out to a clearing where Morticia and Owen sort in a blindfolded rapier fight. The mother breaks her daughter's glass heart-shaped locket with a well-aimed blow, which means victory. Now she can burn Goody's book, saving her daughter from its corrupting influence. Realizing that she has lost Owen's day, throws the rapier towards her mother, but only to pierce a zombie that has crept up on her. Later, the police take the living undead and take him to Allah, where Dr. Fairburn is informed of a new, dangerous patient who has killed several people. It turns out to be Marilyn Thornhill, a former teacher at Nevermore. Dr. Fairburn wants to use Marilyn to figure out how to cure Tyler of his obsessive desire to kill everyone. She asks to see her student first. During the confrontation, the young man turns into a hide and almost breaks his mistress's neck for what she did to him. In response, the woman promises to get him out of captivity and stay together with her grandmother, who came to help. Finds the ashes of one of the outcasts from the many obituaries in the crypt. However, by the smell of the remains, they understand that there's only animal ashes in the pot. There is no smell of a person. At this moment, a one-eyed raven appears and drags away the obituary. The girl chases the bird, but it runs away with a stranger in a cloak. Afterwards, the grandmother advises to find the doctor who signed the death certificates of the outcasts. Later, Wednesday meets Uncle Fest at the tower. He shocks the family reception with lightning. Agnes, who is spying on them. Wednesday asks his uncle to go to Willow Hill to find out about a patient or employee named Lois. Her name was on the board. Fester remembers that Aunt Euphelia was once treated in this mental hospital, but then she escaped. No one has seen her since. To get into the clinic, Fester rents a room in a local hotel, paying with stolen and paint-marked bills, and also creates noise and pogrom when the manager calls the police. The cops, in addition to him, take Gabrielle, Bianca's mother, who is hiding from the cult where she used to be a member. Fester is taken to Willow Hill for examination, where he undergoes electroshock treatment. However, he is used to it. He has been running around mental hospitals since childhood. Wednesday goes to her mother to find out about the fate of Aunt Philia. Morticia tells that she had the same visions with black tears, and able to cope with her gift. Her sister went to a mental hospital where her grandmother sent her, despite Morticia's own persuasion not to do so. The conversation is interrupted by the grandmother, who, having bought the cemetery, learned that the death certificate was signed by Dr. Augustus Stonehurst. Agnes finds out that Stonehurst is listed as a patient at Allahi Hill, the place where he used to work. At this moment, Wednesday notices strangers in cloaks and dozens of crows that attack their sanity and almost steal the thing. Director Dort scares away the birds with pyrokinesis, and Wednesday rushes in pursuit of Avian. The chase ends in the music room, where the girl meets Dr. Fairburn and Miss Capri. They agree on music therapy for patients at the clinic. Realizing she's missed the killer, Uncle Fester takes the thing to the psych ward to deliver a message to Uncle Fester. She needs to find Stonehurst and he'll show Chloe's the way. With the help of his charm and a little Miss Gucci, Uncle finds Stonehurst. He's paralyzed, doesn't speak, and sits in a chair, but his pet parrot can tell her where to find Lois. On the way to the ward, the old man points to a utility room, hinting that what he's looking for is there. However, Marilyn recognizes Fester in the hallway and tells Dr. Fairburn that she has one of the in her institution. Uncle is locked in a cramped ward with a zombie squelch, restricting his movement around the hospital. Having received information from the thing, Uncle plans a plan to save his relative Agnes. Distract the guards so I can get inside. When Miss Capri goes to the institution for therapy, Wednesday hides in her trunk. Invisible Agnes at this time penetrates the checkpoint to prepare a distraction with dynamite and a toilet. The explosion allows Wednesday to secretly break into the territory of the clinic, where the cook, enchanted by Uncle Fester, is already waiting for her. She helps the girl steal the keys and break into the relatives' ward. Wednesday frees Fester, and along the way the zombie lover breaks free. The Addamses make their way into the secret room with the help of the code stolen from the foul-mouthed parrot. Having discovered the secret dungeon, Wednesday realizes that Lois is not a name, but an abbreviation. Therapeutic experiments on outcast creatures. Inside, they find dozens of cells where the outcasts are imprisoned. Everyone about whom the obituaries were written is actually alive. Their deaths are faked to conduct experiments. Then Avian appears in a cloak. It turns out that Judy is supposedly Dr. Fairburn's assistant, but in fact the boss of this mental hospital. She is also the daughter of Stonehurst, who found a way to make outcasts out of normies. This is how Judy received Avian's power. Realizing that the confrontation is escalating, Uncle Fester casts a lightning strike. The discharges turn off the lights in the building and open all the magnetic locks, freeing the patients. The outcasts fall on Judy, wanting revenge for the suffering caused. At this time, a squelchy undead attacks the guards, causing chaos, eating the guards' brains and regenerating its own insides. The zombie makes its way into Stonehurst ward, where it attacks Fairburn and then greets Augustus as an old friend. Before eating his brains, Marilyn takes advantage of the confusion and escapes to free Tyler. However, he hates her and threatens to kill her, but first gives her a head start. The woman flees, but the young man who has turned into Hyde pursues her and kills her. Then he sees Wednesday, who is taking one of the victims of Lois' project outside. Hyde attacks the girl, throwing her out of the window. When the police arrive, the monster flees under pistol fire. Wednesday lies unconscious on the pavement, bleeding. This is where the first half of the second season ends. The second half of the season will be released very soon.